Hello, Lucky Pilot here, and today we're talking about to figure out what do you really want in life, what kind of job you want, what's your goal, and how do you find what fulfills you with passion. A YouTube fan of mine was watching my previous video about how do you get any job you want.
Need to ask yourself is what, not how.
He told me, or he asked me, like, very cool video, but how do I know what I want? I'm like in a point in my life where I tried so many things, and some worked out, some didn't, but none of them I really wanted. So how do I figure out what I really want? So that's why I'm making this video, to give you some ideas. And I tell you right now, there is no perfect answer, because everybody is a little bit different. And everybody has different ways to figure out what they want or what fulfills them with maximum joy and happiness. In the case of my friend, he wanted to become a helicopter pilot. In fact, we actually went to the same flight school in the US. So after he became a pilot, I continued the career, and it was very difficult to get a job and to get the foot in the door in the career. I think he went back to Germany and tried something else. He tried different things, for example, becoming a diver, and after becoming a diver, he figured, okay, there's like not enough money and it's expensive to do that as a hobby, so let's look for something else. So he wrote me that he did a couple of different things, but he never sticked to one. At first, you have to understand that whatever you want should not depending on the options you have. Okay. Again, as I just explained in the other video I made before, you cannot look for the options around you and then choose one, because that most likely is not that what you really want. Maybe my friend thought, oh hey, there's an offer for becoming a helicopter pilot, that seems cool, I want to do that, because that was like the option in the room. That will never fulfill you unless you, for whatever coincidence you grow into it, will never fulfill you as something you choose on your own, like without interference from like a commercial ad or from a friend telling you, oh, you have to do this because there's good money in there, or that's a very safe career path to choose. So whatever it is, it needs to come from you, from your own decision. Doesn't mean that your friends can help you finding it. In fact, for me, it was actually my mom, because she saw that I had a passion for flying and for helicopters, and she told me, hey, look, you have so much passion about it, why not making it a career? And that's how I became a helicopter pilot. That's how I choose myself inside. Yes, she's right. That's my passion. That's why not doing it for the rest of my life. So yes, friends, family is important, but they cannot tell you to do it. You have to choose it yourself. Okay. So how you do that? You do it by visualizing. Okay, thinking about how do you see yourself in 3 years, 5 years, 15 years, and you can kind of like, before you fall asleep, you're in a mind, in a state where you're a little bit more open to visualizing, or when you just woke up, the same thing. Some people have it when they exercise in the gym and running. They can also visualize very well. For me, it works very well when I'm in the gym and doing some workout. And what you want to do in that visualizing is like, imagine yourself from the side, how you do a job, how you play with family, how you do this and that. And as you see yourself in all those different scenarios, you can just pick random scenarios, you will see like, that's something I don't want to do. Oh, this is cool, that might be interesting. And the more often you do that, and the more different scenarios you choose, and you look around what options there are, the more likely you will see and you will be able to judge how you feel about it, how you perceive it yourself. In my example, I was imagining myself sitting in a desk on a desk in an office for like 5 days a week, coming to work, doing office stuff on the computer, and I could never really be arranging myself with that idea of doing that for the majority of my life. I mean, I like computers, it's my hobby, so I would like to keep it that way, but like to work and I'm forced to do it every day, I couldn't see that doing. So that was off the table. Okay, so that's another technique you can do. You can choose what you don't want to choose. So office work, okay, it's off the table. Like there's no way I'm gonna do that. Driving a bus, you see yourself like driving a bus, driving around through the streets, seeing different people. You know, maybe yes, maybe no. And if you feel like, oh yeah, that's a cool idea, maybe it's something in transportation, you know, that you want to do. And that way you can narrow specific things out of the window. And those things you don't really ever want to consider doing it because, as you already know, it doesn't give you joy just thinking about it. Why would it give you joy doing it? Another tip is instead of just thinking of random things, you can start with things you're already doing in your life. For example, you're already cooking, you know, you like cooking. So start with imagining yourself working in a restaurant. Okay, for example, you like to have your kitchen nice and clean. Imagine yourself cooking, working in a nice fancy restaurant. Okay, you're already living in a skyscraper. So imagine yourself cooking in a very fancy restaurant in a skyscraper. You like to travel. Maybe imagine yourself in a fancy restaurant in a skyscraper in New York City where you meet a lot of other people. So you can narrow it down by things you're already doing in your life and where you have components. Because in the end, the things you have in your life right now are things you chose to have. More or less voluntary. Sometimes you had to, but they're part of your life. So if you really, really hate something, it is not really part of your life. I mean, it should not be. Right. So use that. Like, for example, you like to drive. Sometimes you just take the car driving around. So maybe you like to drive, or you say, oh, no, it's not the driving part, it's the car part. So maybe you like to see yourself as a mechanic. But then you're like, I'm not good with tools. So maybe you see yourself as a mechatronic, which is somebody who works on a computer with programming computer cars, chips, and stuff like that. Maybe you see yourself as a manager, well, because in the school you were always good with people and like you were the leading of the class. I don't know what's the English term for that. The the guy who organizes stuff in your class. So maybe you want to become a manager. And then there are also external factors. External factors like money, happiness, life, family. Okay, those factors are like secondary factors. You would say, oh no, the primary factors, that's like most important. Yes, but they contribute to what you want to do. Okay, you cannot do life happiness. I mean, yes, you can do, but there needs to be an action to do to be the primary factor. Okay, so the motivation life happiness could give you as a cook as well as driving. So that's why it's secondary, even though it may be the main priority after all. So when you do that imagination, when you're running, when you're sleeping, whatever, or before you fall asleep, obviously, then think about how do you feel when you do that? How do you see yourself? Who's around you? Do you have a family around you? Okay, you see yourself. Okay, I'm a cook, kind of in a New York restaurant. That's what I kind of want to do. Okay, then do you live there? Do you have family around you? Like, what's the feeling when you come home? Is there a family there? Do you have kids? Or maybe you drive in a fancy car back home, or you want to just have like a little house. You don't have much demand. You're really happy in a small house, or you have to have like 2 cars, live super fancy. Do you want to have money? Do you want to have a status symbol? There's nothing wrong with that, having that, and you can select that as well while you imagine yourself. So once you have that rough idea figured out of different options, and it's dynamic, you know, the more you grow, the older you get, the more that changes that picture. But you can never say, oh, it's gonna change, I'm not gonna pursue it anyways. No, you have to have that major big idea of, I always wanted to do something with cooking. Okay, so even it doesn't lead you to New York, maybe it leads you to, I don't know, Paris. Maybe it doesn't lead you in a fancy restaurant, maybe it leads you in creating your own cooking book. Okay, but you have to have that idea in your head that you really want to do. And you can choose a secondary reason, for example, money as your primary cause, of course, but it will be never as strong. For example, if you choose, I'm choosing, I want to be a millionaire. Okay, that's very, there's no material there, because it gives you motivation, but it doesn't fulfill you. For example, it would be much wiser to say, okay, I want to be a cook, and I want to be so successful as a cook that can become a millionaire. That would give you motivation, and it would give you fulfillment, because in the end of the day, just to reach something and then having it reached and being still upset about it where you are, it's not getting you anywhere either. So it has to be motivation for the right reason, gives you fulfillment. And once you have that, okay, once you really have a good idea after, and it can take days, it can take weeks, months, maybe even years to get that clear picture in your head how you see yourself. But if you already have an idea where you say, okay, that's already very good, and you want to start moving that way and choosing, okay, that's my goal, you set that as your goal. And that doesn't mean that you have to have only this specific goal. You should actually break it down in like steps. For example, where do I see myself in 1 year, then 5 years, then 10 years. That way you have those little steps, you know, so that one single goal, right? So you already start moving to that 1 year goal, because the 15-year goal might change a lot. The 1 year goal doesn't change that much because it's closer to you, closer in the future than it would be in 15 years. So you already start moving in that 1 year goal, and as you progress to that 1 year goal, after maybe half a year, you see like, okay, my 5-year goal changed a little bit. And that's okay. I mean, that happens to everybody, and that's how it's supposed to be. So the key is also to never stop imagine, to visualize, okay? And once you set that goal, you really have to set it, okay? For example, what you can do is you can put leverage. I think leverage is the most important word here. Once you have that goal, you want to print the pictures, put it on the wall of your goal. You want to tell your friends about it. You want to tell your family about it. Why? Because two things. First of all, they give you support. They will say, okay, hey, I have this and this idea how you can do it. I have this and this, I have this and this friend who can help you doing this. Okay, and second of all, by your family always reminding you of it, you kind of get in a direction where you have to. You put, again, leverage, pressure on yourself to reach that goal, to become the best cook in New York City, to become that person, to become the person you visualized, because your friends tell you to do so. And sometimes it's even more. I mean, it's okay. It's bad to disappoint yourself, right? To not achieve something. But sometimes it's even worse to disappoint your family, your mom, your closest friends. And you know, now they see me as somebody who didn't achieve what he said he would. And that gives you a lot of power to actually reach your goal or even surpass it. So, and also the family and friends, they can help you to shape that picture in your head of how you see yourself. Maybe they say, hey, okay, what about your car? What kind of car are you driving? So you can even sit down with them and talk about what's possible, what are the options. And it can go down in details. It can go down up to the exact location where you're going to live, the exact type of model of car you have, exact amount of children you have. It can be very specific to something you want. Again, it will change as you get there and progress. And it's super, super important to set that 15-year, 20-year, or maybe even 30-year goal so high that you maybe not even be able to reach it. But that's okay, because you will progress in a way anyways that's much faster and much better to a goal that's super high than a goal that would be just here, because then the angle of how you progress would be much more shallow. So after 1 year of progress, you would be in a different position. So if you want to get the most out of it, don't be afraid of choosing a very high goal. And whatever you do, don't even think about the question of how. Because then, you know what happens then is you will choose the goal that's matching to your abilities. And that's not getting you anywhere. After you know exactly what you want, then you start figure out how to get there. Don't think about the how before you choose the what. So to wrap this up, I just want to summarize. Imagine, which means visualizing. See yourself in a different years. Put different years, different steps. Involve your friends and family. Help them to find your visualization. Don't ask for the how before in any process of choosing the what, because the what comes first before the how comes. And then it's a constant process. It will always change. So don't be afraid to question your own idea of having that goal. And involve the feelings. How do you want to feel when you be there once you reach that goal? Is that the feeling you want to have? And is that the passion you want to feel? Is that something in the end of your lifetime? There's only one person you have to answer to, and that's yourself. That's your future self. Asking yourself, is this exactly what I maximized out of my life? Did I live my life the way I wanted to, or did I actually want something else? And when you ask those questions, the questions I just displayed in this video, you will not regret anything, because you did ask the question all the time to yourself, what do you want and how does it need to look like in the future? Cool. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, give it a like, and you can subscribe to not miss another Danke Pilot video. Thank you for watching, and take care.